something we've talked about off camera and somewhat on camera. I think we've talked about how important theater is and how important it is for people to take theater classes. I think it's something that should be required.
I think it's a really great experience just to stand up in front of people and allow yourself to be seen, and know that you're seeing them while they're seeing you, and everybody's dying at the same moment. You know, this is a very temporal thing. And that once we've had a good look at you, 10, 15 seconds, those identifiers start to melt away and your people markers start to come through in that which you choose to say. You know, what you choose to share given your moments with us, what you give us, what you receive. You know, what people allow themselves to receive when they're standing in front of groups. They say public speaking is the #1 fear ahead of death in this country. Just speaking. And a lot of that is just standing up and saying your piece without fear of reprisal. And it's not even the judgment or the critical thoughts, it's your own thought that it's not enough somehow. Which is probably true in most cases. It's not enough. We really aren't rising to the occasion as often as we could.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you're in an acting class, you get that. Why are you here? What have you got to say? Is that the best you can do? I mean, it happens in seconds, and suddenly you're like, oh, excuse me. My name is Lisa Wolpe. My father's name was Hans Max Joachim Wolpe. My mother was Vera Angelica Wendell. I am here, you know, for a short amount of time, and then on to something, which is why it's great to segue into Shakespeare, because that's going to be great. But now that we're saying our own pieces for our own Renaissance, you know, we really have to learn how to breathe and connect again without the quick visual soundbite gratification thing. And stand there, you know, knowing it may not be enough. You know, that we have to get up tomorrow and do more, figure it out. You know, something's going to have to shift every day. That keeps me interested. That's doable, you know. Green the apartment, you know. Go home, reduce the footprint, figure it out. Reprioritize. It's tough. The economy was really tough these last few years.
Yes, absolutely.
And the benefit was that people were taking care of each other better. More people were dining together, not planning getaways, but staying in and having something happen here.
Staycations.
Staycations.
Absolutely.
Broadcasting from your own living room instead of having a studio.
That's right.
Excellent choice.
So you're taking 2 months off because Hamlet is postponed.
Hamlet's postponed. I've got about $12,000 for it. I need another 20. Probably do it in January, February if I get lucky and find the other 20. Next March, I think I'm going up to Ashland as an actor for 7 months.
Wow.
It's a lifetime dream. I'm playing Jason in Medea, which would be really cool if it happens. And I think I'm going to work on my solo show and teach for the next 2 months. The solo show's been invited to Dublin and Florida and San Francisco and Massachusetts.
Wow.
And so I think I'd like to do it in a little tour.
Where in Florida?
The Orlando Shakespeare Festival. It's in Orlando. So if I finish it in the next 2 months, I'll try it out again for y'all.
Yes.
See what you guys think.
Absolutely.
We'll probably do it at the Skylight because Gary Grossman invited me to do it there.
It's a great little theater.
Yeah, down in Vermont, nice little neighborhood.
Nice, yeah.
And I just want to. The next step would be to design it. You know, there's content that I kind of know how it flows now.
Yeah.
About my autobiographical story, my family, and also Mary Sidney and her candidacy for the authorship, and then this metaphysical stuff, which I find really interesting. It has to do with alchemy. Because the whole idea of transforming yourself has to do with picking up messages on what we want to transform into, because when we get a strong idea of what we want to transform into, then we reconfigure around that idea. Hence the role model, or the positive love message, or the heightened bar, or the focus, or the way time disappears when you're really interested in something. So, number one is to really identify what I want to focus on, part of which is my father's story. And then to really understand that there is a hereafter. which I'm beginning to be really convinced of, because I just had a visit from my father who's been dead for 40 years. I'm not even going to talk about that, but that was whack.
Yeah, that was whack.
That was whack. Daddy came by the other day. It's like, oh my God, that's really proof positive that there's a hereafter. So now I have to really think about that. And then just, one-woman shows. What are they? What are they for? How does it help? I know that my students feel that it's very valuable that I go out there and I'm vulnerable and I'm brave and I use my expertise and I, give my message of enlightenment and
then survive at the end.
And survive. Yeah,
Right,
surviving
survive it.
beautifully with a great partner and 1,000 people know me and like me and it's not difficult. It does get better. And then there is so much to talk about. And we aren't as powerful as we should be. Or we could get stuff done.
As women?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of irritated with this.
Yeah.
Seriously, I am.
1%, like what are we doing? So it's kind of like the Democrats. We're just too divisive. We don't find all the agreeing points. We find all our disagreeing points. I know I'm a Democrat. I'm just saying it's hard when everybody's so divisive that they can't even support the president. It's like, who do you think is going to do this? You have to actually focus on who's in charge, and you have to support your leaders.
I think
become one yourself.
People
But the commenting is too much.
People think too hard. They don't have empathy for others. They don't use their imagination. Like, for instance, what if I was that person going through that? Like the whole abortion thing. For men and women to tell another woman what she can and can't do is just mind-blowing. And the arguments they lay on top of it, biblical or it's murder, this and that.
So I can tell it's you that has to make the choice.
Exactly. Until you've walked a mile in that woman's shoes.
The chat room has requested one more case, maybe something from Hamlet. Could you give us a little
Hamlet?
something?
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles and by opposing end to die. To sleep, no. And by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to, 'tis a consummation devoutly to be wished to die, to sleep. To sleep. Perchance to dream, aye, there's the rub, for in that sleep of death what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause. There's the respect makes calamity of so long life, for who would bear the whips and scorns of time? The oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns the patient merit of the unworthy takes, when he himself might his quietus make with a bare body. Who would these fardels bear to grunt and sweat under a weary life, but that the dread of something after death? The undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveller returns puzzles the day, and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of, lest conscience doth make cowards of us all. And thus the native hue of resolutions sickly door with a pale cast of thought, and enterprises of great pith and moment with this regard their currents turn awry and lose the name of action. We'll have it right there.
It's fantastic.
Did we cover enough gender, sex stuff? Because, we're supposed to talk about sex on the couch.
Yeah,
Sex on the couch.
sex. Well,
This was an indulgent evening for us.
It's very indulgent, and I love it. It's wonderfully indulgent.
We have our own show, we can
It's-
have our own.
Yeah, it's like having dark chocolate all the time. It's very indulgent.